Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope we've had an interactive session in Learning One. I am Josephine Awumashud. I'm a youth leader and a pharmacist, by the way. And today, we're here to speak on ethical leadership. With me today, I will have Selassie, who is the SRC president, the current SRC president for GIMPA. With a round of applause, let's welcome him as he joins us. Our second panelist who will be joining us it's quite interesting that right after learning how to put value on yourself and also be patient with yourself and make sure you're visible enough so that you can get paid as you wish or want, she's here to take us through how to make yourself visible, how to get paid after your visibility, because it takes a lot to build a brand, and also how to communicate your brand in time. That is Kenny Ribeiro. So with a round of applause, if Kenny can join us. Okay, I think Kenny just stepped out, and so we will start, and then Kenny will join us, and we'll continue with the conversation, if that's fine with everybody. Okay, Selassie, good morning. I think we've had our first conversation prior. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. And so, Selassie, how has it been for you as the SRC president so far?
Okay, good morning once again. I'm here before you. And then, with response to the question you just posed, how it has been. I mean, it's come with its highs and lows, but I would say that it's been more challenging. Yeah. But then I am taking it as a learning curve, because, I mean, as a leader, you're supposed to learn from your experiences and continue to grow from them. So I actually take the challenge as like a normal thing. I don't know if you get me.
Yeah. Okay. I understand what you're saying, and that is where my next question is going to. Because as an ethical leader, I'm hoping that the challenges you're talking about are not ones that test your ethics.
Oh, they do.
Give us an experience. Please, let's make this as interactive as possible. If you have any questions, just raise your hand so we can. Okay. Kenny Ribeiro is joining us to help us brand and elevate our... Welcome.
Thank you. GIMPA is very small, but very difficult to navigate. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much, and I hope the struggle wasn't that bad.
I'm here, that's what matters.
Okay, so right before you came in, I have actually been following her for a while. If you're on social media, she's been giving our policymakers some advice lately on Twitter and all over the socials. She's our Auntie Kenny. So if you know her on Instagram, this is Auntie Kenny. And she's been helping us brand, elevate, and also build our identity outside of what we actually do. So thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Okay, I was just asking Selassie about the ethical challenges he has had as the SRC president of GIMPA and how that is influencing him at the moment.
Okay. So we all know that leadership is a very, very interesting space. So when you come to the SRC, it is like more of like a very, very tricky space, because first of all, you are supposed to champion the welfare of the students, voice their concerns to management, And at the same time, so it's like you are the liaison between students and management. And you know very well that sometimes to get management on your side or to listen to you, it's very, very difficult. So it's like there are times where you know that these are the structures you're supposed to follow, right? But then you go there and it's not really pulling. They're not pulling their weight. So it means that you have to break those structures and then act like you don't even know anything about it. So it's like you're always going around like so. You're just like going behind to try and get it done. But then when the time comes and they come to you, be like, I don't know anything about it. I don't know if you get it. And there are times where you'll be called to the office and say, okay, so there's an experience where in the previous administration, some things happened, right? So I was called to the office, and then it's like, given my relationship with their previous administration, they were expecting me to like just like be on their side. So I said like be dishonest. But I was honest enough, and then, it's caused a little bit of problems for me. So on my side, one non-negotiable thing about me is that I always tell you the truth, no matter what. Because I feel like when you tell the truth, you're fine. It sets you free.
Is that where you come off as challenging the status or the lines, making sure that you're breaking protocol to get things done?
Yeah, basically.
But the right things done.
Right things done.
I think that's a good one. But Kenny, please, I would want to know if you've faced any leadership challenges in your 10 years since practicing PR and communications through NGOs and others. What are the various challenges you have had to navigate as a leader?
So interestingly, I was one of those people who has always been either class prefect or school prefect or something like that. Apparently, I have a face that looks like I can tell people to do something, they'll listen. So ever since I was in primary school, people have been asking me, putting me in positions of leadership. But I find that it's a very different landscape when you are in the workplace or when you are in conversations that have to do with money and power. Those conversations are very different from telling your classmates to sit down and keep quiet and I'll write your name and things like that. But for me, because of the work I do, my work is to make the brand I work for look as good as possible. And sometimes there are situations where the brand is not looking good. And the expectation of whoever it is who has either hired you or you're working with is do everything you can to make it look as though we are perfect. And my role typically is to show them how even a negative situation can be used to build the brand a certain way. I get that people seem to think, oh my God, if my name is in the press and there's a scandal, it means I'm in trouble. Everything is, so go and lie and say I didn't do it. No. Even the pitfalls have a way of making you seem human, and how you overcome that pitfall can be an additional touch for you. And that's how I approach it. So we would never say it's not true, nothing has happened. If there's a crisis, we acknowledge the crisis. And we go about how to lift the brand or the company or the person out of that situation without muddying the situation any further. Most of the time it's difficult because people are used to, when you hear PR, the first thing you think is, oh, you lie for a living. But in my estimation, there are ways to carry across the truth without compromising on your ethics, like he has said. Yes.
Okay. I just want to find out how, in your lifting or making the brand look presentable with whatever circumstances they find themselves in currently in Africa, how is it looking like with youth engagements across?
You want to bring out the rant in me, eh? When it comes to youth engagement, I'm guessing you're talking about civic engagement, political. I'll be very honest, it's not looking good. And I say that because it's one of us. I don't know who it is. Oh, it's mine. Okay. So I think the challenge is we have normalized a certain kind of life. And so even the young leaders are growing into that life. A few weeks ago, I was saying that it's not possible for you as a person to decide, I have a vision for my constituency or for my country, and I'm going to do my best to do the work and just help the country. The people you want to help will be the same people pulling you down, and then the people who should be working with you to bring about that change that will benefit everyone will be the ones sabotaging you. And the people who are benefiting from what is typically happening will do their best to stop you from achieving whatever it is you need to achieve. That's the kind of situation we're living in Ghana. I'm not sure, from what I gather, it's the same thing across Africa, just in different, maybe the nuances are a little different, but the main thing is the same. Everybody else is just thinking about themselves and their immediate benefits. So even for politics, I would say something is not good for one person, but what I really mean is I'm not happy that they are the ones benefiting, so I am looking for an opportunity to also benefit. And that's the current crisis we are in. And that's one of the reasons why I rant on Twitter, because for me, it's important for us to get to the point where we are thinking about what benefits our country, our continent in the long term. And I find that that's not a conversation that anyone is having. No one is talking about that. We're just, okay, my party's in power. For the next 4 years, we'll take as much money as we can. Then the next person comes, hey, you people are stealing. Then they take over and show you a next level of stealing. Like that has become the regular thing. And so that's what I find the status is. And we have normalized it. So everyone knows that that's how to get ahead in politics, in leadership. There's no selflessness. There's no example. There's no, I want to do it a certain way that will help the country in the long term. I find that that's missing.
Selassie, don't you think that although we hear the young people are the future, I was corrected this morning, which was very good for all of us. I think for those of us that were in early, we were corrected this morning to know that we are the present leaders. There's nothing like future leaders. You are currently sitting in your present. You're seeing the difficulties and the challenges we're facing. You're experiencing them. So when you have the opportunity to sit and be a leader, I think that because we're not invited to the table quite often, or even if we are invited, we're not allowed to engage the table. It's one of the challenges as to why we're having all of these issues.
You're asking me or Selassie?
I agree with you, because if we are the present leaders, let's take example, like for example, let's look at the student leaders we find in Ghana. What platforms are they given to voice out their content and whatever they think will be good for their youth going forward? Because I feel like student leaders and like young leaders are silenced. So until you get into the spotlight, that is when you get the opportunity or the access to, the platforms that can actually really bring the change. I don't know if you get me. Yeah.
Yes, I get you. But don't you also think that it's because they sort of box you during your leadership as a student? When you get the opportunity or when you start to go public into the bigger political space, it's almost as if you've been hungry for so long, now you have the opportunity. It's not about, oh, I know there are needs of my people, but there's also that interest of making yourself enriched with our resources.
I feel like it's dependent on you, the leader. What is your purpose? Why are you taking the position? So it depends on why you took the position and what you want to do in the future and who is advising you and holding you down. Because I feel like if you have to get someone who is principled and ethically, in the right sense, I don't think that, and actually, as to why you came. So if before you get into the position, you are coming to tell us that, okay, I'm coming to help the students, personally, you know why you are here. And unfortunately for us, in this age, right, students are also spending hundreds of thousands of cedis to get into their offices. I don't know if you get it. So it's like, okay, I spent this amount of money, so if I'm coming to come here, I have to recoup everything and go away. Yeah, so I think, as she said, it's not looking good. The culture has even crept into student institutions, and that's the honest truth about it. But it's not supposed to be like that. And you find the thing of partisan politics also coming into play on campuses. I think that's something that has to be, looked at.
Okay. Kenny, what mechanisms do you believe or think we can put into place to make our leaders more accountable and demand for what we actually deserve as a people?
Let me just ask your audience something. How many of you have heard of the Stop Galamsey protest? Stop Galamsey. Okay, let's say about 60%. How many of you believe that that protest was politically motivated? Okay, there are a few of you who think so. How many of you think that Galamsey is something we should be discussing as a nation? Okay, a lot more people. So, given that interest, I was expecting that the Stop Galamsey protest would be something that every citizen, regardless of what their political affiliation was, would back there. We're holding the government accountable. Stop this. Because if we don't stop and we don't handle this responsibly, in the long term, it will affect every single one of us. And when the mercury and all those things happen, no one is going to check your party card before they decide to give you the effect. But that protest has been peddled as it's political. And a number of the people who have led that political protest, have now aligned with the party that wasn't in power. This worries me because it sends us the message of, even if we all stand up and say, no, Ghana must do better. Let's say today I decide we're doing a Ghana must work again protest. And I say everyone should come. Half the people will say, this girl is only doing this because she wants to get a political position. The other people would also say she only wants to be popular and collect money from whoever is in government. Then there are people who say, I agree, Ghana must work, so let's all push it. But while we are pushing it, at some point, some political person will call me and say, let's have a conversation. Someone will take a picture of it and say, yeah, she has turned. That's the situation we are in. And what we're supposed to do is collectively say, enough is enough. We who will bear the brunt of what is happening in our country today should be in a situation where we can stand up and say, I want a future that works for me and everyone else that is my age and the children that we will have. I don't know if people are thinking about your children. I don't know if any of you have children, but when you do have children, the educational system we have now has completely deteriorated. That's something that should worry you, because it means that by the time your children are there, further deterioration. How many of you can afford to buy land? How many of us can afford to buy a car without either stealing something or doing something illegal? These are the questions we should be asking ourselves and saying, where are our leaders? What's the conversation? But we've politicized everything. I'm sure someone is sitting here saying, this girl, she must be MPP, the way she's bashing NDC. That's how we tend to look at the lens of anything that will move our country forward. And that, for me, is a problem. So long as we are not Ghanaian first, but it's always about party cards, even the neutrals are very, I don't care, as if when the problem happens, it will check whether or not you are aligned with a party or not. The problems are problems that are facing all of us. And if all the youth in Ghana stand and say, no, enough is enough, you see that every single political party will sit up. But unfortunately, we've taught them that all they have to do is spot our differences. And if it's not political differences, then it is tribal differences, then it is religious differences. And so long as we think of ourselves along those different lines and not as Ghanaians, nothing will work. I know I sound like a doomsday prophet, but that's what it is. Because that's what we are living with. If we don't move past those differences and start doing the I'm Ghanaian and Ghana must work, nothing will change. And unfortunately, I find that too many of us have just decided, you know what, it's okay. This is what happens. This is the status quo. So let them come and do it for 4 years. I'll also come. My time has come. What do they say? Mabane also. Yes. Those kind of conversations. It's because we are not thinking about the nation. Everyone is thinking about my immediate benefits and the benefits of those around me. Once we change that, everything will change.
Thank you very much. That was very insightful. But still on you, Kenny, how do you think young people can influence or co-create policies that will accelerate or push accountability, Pan-African integration forward?
So, while I sound like a doomsday prophet, there's something that can change anything. And that's the digital age we are in. Because today, I don't need to know anyone in power. I just need to take out my phone and record a video and share insights or write an article. And it has the potential of reaching people all over the country and even outside the country. I find that if we are able to use social media to mobilize, Stop Galamsey that I referred to was mobilized online. There are a lot of movements, even for change. I don't know if you know about Kinky for the Needy. Kinky for the Needy is supposed to be a non-profit fundraising thing. It's solely done online. You come, they make all the noise online, and you come in person to meet your friends online, buy Kinky, and use that money to do something. So it's possible to use social media to level the playing field and rally around people. But most of us are not willing to do that work. So for me, if we could just leverage on using social media to call out what is wrong, to advocate for what would work better for the country, to talk about the things that are facing us, I don't think that we must wait for someone to come into power and roll out a policy for us before we see that youth are ahead or youth are cared about. Because regardless of who is in power or not, the rent that you are paying is not changing. If anything, it's going higher. The things you are doing, nothing is improving. Everything is just getting worse. So we should get to the point where we are saying, what is this going to look like in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years? How can we work towards 20 years that are better for us than these last 10 years have been? For us to start having those conversations. Because we know other things. We've all gone to school. There are economists. There are people who go abroad to do all sorts of masters with the knowledge. They take it elsewhere to better other countries. Because there isn't opportunity for those conversations to be had. When this government just took over, there was a national dialogue of some sort. And when I watched it online, I think it was supposed to be national engagement, something like that. They had all sorts of people from different areas coming to talk about what would move the country forward. The first thing I said was, I don't see enough young people in the room. Because, let's be honest, when we have those kind of sessions, if you look at the room, if they pan the camera towards the audience, you see a lot of people that are above the age of 50. They can't relate to the problems that you as a 27-year-old is facing. They can't. Because for most of them, they're exposed to power and money. So even their children are not living the life you're living. So how would they be in the position to give you a policy that will help you to be able to pay rent every month the way you'd like to? But the rent policy is 1 year, 2 years, and everybody is just quiet. We talk about it for a while and keep quiet. The people who should advocate for us, they don't need to pay rent. They already have their homes, right? So if we don't make the noise of, I need to pay my rent, I want to pay it monthly, what's happening? If all of us start making that noise, you'd realize they'll think, okay, I need to do something about this because I do want to stay in power and they are the ones who vote for me. They'll do something about it. But we are waiting for them to realize that we have problems and fix it for us. That's the problem.
Wow.
I told you that if you let me, I'll keep ranting, so please.
I hope we're learning to do better when we're given the opportunities to sit in these rooms, because there's so many opportunities out there for young people. We just don't know about them. Like she mentioned on the article, some of these things, if you don't dive deeper, you'll not find them. I studied pharmacy in school, and then I went on to do the UNFPA fellowship program after 5 years of working, not because pharmacy is not what I wanted to do, but I wanted more. why would I be working in a hospital and the basic drugs, we don't have them? And I have to go out and buy it expensively, which should be common, which should be easy for me to access. I mean, it's easy. Pharmacies are quite everywhere now. But how about the price? How about making it easy for me to afford it in the hospital? What happened to my health insurance? And so I went online, read online, saw some of these opportunities, and I applied. There's so many. There's UN Volunteer. There are so many opportunities out there that you can leverage on to build some of these skills. Because I think one of the problems we have when we go to the room is you don't have that exposure. So sometimes when they put you in the room, they put you in a corner to write notes or take notes or just sit in the corner so they can have a presence of the youth for socials. But no, if we want change, I think if we start learning about how to make them accountable, how these policies translate into our daily lives, then we can start having effective change when we're having these conversations. But that was just by the way. Anyway, Selassie, do you think mentorship can help build some of these things that we're looking at in terms of leadership?
Yeah, I think mentorship will help a lot, because ordinarily you are up and coming. They have walked the path you have walked, so they will have more insight, more advice, better wisdom as to how to go about things. Because if you have someone to hold you, you'd actually go far.
But that is to ask. Well, for me, now mentorship, I have been privileged to be mentored by very good people that have held my hand through this very confusing path that I decided to go on. But for young people, especially in the universities, level 100, level 200, who do not know how to make use of these opportunities or reaching out to somebody or having somebody guide you through this path, how do we go about it?
Okay, so, I mean, you're in university ordinarily. You could come in level 100, you have your lecturers around you, and I mean, when you come, you're coming to study a particular subject that is going to put you in a particular field. So it's like, okay, you can start with your lecturers, or you could go ahead and, so that's why I think that, or I know that networking is a very, very important thing. When you come, don't say, okay, I'm level 100, so then I'm going to stay where I'm going to stay. Like, I'm just going to be in the level 100 space. You have to make use of programs like this that have to be on campus, because you meet people that have walked like the path, and now you want to be in their shoes. So you have to like make use of these things. Talk to your lecturers more, because you do not know who what's the name, who is in your network or what they actually have in mind. Because I would say is that I've had the opportunity to be mentored by the late Dr. Omane Boama. I met him through a lecture, actually, in this school, when I came to law school in level 100. So I met him through him, and so that's why I'm saying that try and speak to your lecturers more. They could put you on a path for you to, be better. Yes.
Okay. That was very good, and I hope we're taking notes on how to network as well. While Auntie Kenny is here, I think she could also help us to be seen, because you're going for these conferences, you're networking, but it doesn't just end on your phone. After getting the person's number, it shouldn't just end on your phone. There's a way you also position yourself to bring value and not always take. Once you're giving out values, obviously somebody will want to invest or listen to you, listen to your plights, help you navigate the path you're walking. But how do we do that? Because when I went to school level 100, I just take the number, keep it on my phone, and I go about my day. The next time when I see, I say, oh, I met you at Gempa last year, which doesn't help, because how is the person going to mentor you? How is the person going to see the value you're bringing on board? But how can we do that better as students?
When you do meet somebody, the first thing you should realize is most of the time they are meeting 50 other people like you who say, hi, hello, I really admire you, I follow you, I've seen your content, I want to work with you. There are 50 other people telling them that on that day. So when you are standing in front of somebody, actually, even before you begin, before you approach them, read the room. Is it a good time to now launch into you? I'm very passionate about medicine and things like that. Is a person in the state of mind to receive what it is that you have to say? That should be the first thing. The second thing is, how quickly can you get to the point where that person thinks, okay, this makes sense, or this is something I'm interested in? That's not the time to start from when I was a child and this happened from my childhood and my cousin fell sick and that's what taught me and that's what motivated me to get into medicine. He zoned out. So get to the point of why you want to speak to that person as quickly as possible in a way that makes them think, okay, this is worth my attention beyond the being friendly. And then find a way. If you have already been following the person, then you should be able to speak to something that they are doing or have done that is connected to whatever it is you are saying. So let's say the medicine example. I noticed that you, every year you do this free healthcare thing for the people in your community. Because of my background, I'm happy to volunteer as a helper for this December. Is there someone I can get in touch with? Notice the difference. You're not saying, give me your number. You're saying, is there someone I can get in touch with? They will give you someone to get in touch with. And if you show up, that's a touch point beyond there. I have your number, or I have a selfie with you and I've tagged you on Instagram, and that's it. Most of the time we think of I also met this person, so I've checked the box. But everyone is meeting them. So find a way to make your connection with them memorable. She spoke about giving value. While I agree with that, very often we may not always be in the position to give value, but to appreciate their value is something we can very easily do. Something they've done, something they've contributed to. You can say, oh, I noticed this helped me, or this gave me clarity for when I started working. This helped me understand how to navigate financing. Those kind of things are more likely to get you there. Oh, okay, you actually followed and paid attention. I will give you more of an opportunity than if you just come and say, hi, can I please take a selfie with you? We've taken the selfie. But that's the end of it. Chances are, if you tag the person, it will end up in their request. They won't even see it. By the time they see it, the picture is gone, so they don't even remember you. You don't want to lose those kind of opportunities. But when you are given such an opportunity, what I'd say is, try as much as possible to make sure that the access that has been given to you is not taken for granted. Because sometimes we do that as well. We do well to get the access, but after a while, we either get too familiar or we decide to, should I say, compromise on what, maybe I said I will volunteer for something, and then the second day, until the 10th day, I'm no longer showing up, no excuse, no explanation, nothing like that. You've lost that access that has been given to you. So when you do get access, take as much advantage of it so that the person doesn't feel like they've wasted that opportunity they've given you. That's what I'll add.
Now that we have the opportunities, how do we balance them out, Selassie? How do we balance our responsibilities, our other curricular activities that we engage in? How do we balance everything out?
Okay, so to balance it out, we all know time management is a very, very important thing everywhere, across every area of your life. I think, first of all, you have to manage your time, plan your day, and be very organized. As well as when it comes to responsibility, I feel like ambition will make you rise, but responsibility would make it last, like whichever impact you want to impact wherever you are. So to be responsible, it means you have to hold yourself accountable before you get people to even hold you accountable, right? And then the second thing too is that you have to surround yourself with people who are honest with you. So that, okay, yeah, when you're going like wrong or you're going straight from what you actually said you were about to do, they prompt you. So that will even lead to like emotional intelligence in the sense that you're able to take constructive criticism and work on it. Yes, and you also have to always ask yourself some questions. I have 3 questions that I always ask myself. Is it fair? Is it right? Would I defend it publicly? If all these questions are, if I cannot, if in my mind I'm not able to check all these questions out, I do not go ahead with it. And lastly, as a responsibility, you came, so now the students are a responsibility. However, we are talking about mentorship here. The other people who want to fill your shoes. So, I mean, when they come to you, just open the doors, talk to them, like have an impact on someone's life. So, in a way, you're just building, a network, like as you're going, because you may never know where you miss the person after everything. Yes, so that's what I do to balance my responsibility and my leadership roles.
You mentioned, is it fair?
Yeah, is it fair?
You mentioned 3, so is it right? Is it fair? Can I defend it publicly? I think those are 3 strong things everybody should ask themselves before doing anything outside. But Auntie Kenny, how can we, the youth, embrace Pan-Africanism without losing our identity or our roots, without forgetting our roots?
I was going to go on a rant again, but I'm trying to hold myself in. The first thing is, what does Pan-Africanism mean for us today? Because let's be honest, in Nkrumah's time, it meant one Africa, we're all together, everything is working. At this point, it's not as feasible. The AU is not working the way it should be working. We are not even West Africa is not moving like we are one unit. There are all sorts of differences, there are all sorts of nuances. But for me, I think that what we can do is to understand that whether we represent our country or we represent our continent, that it goes beyond just us. So I hear you say, how can I represent that without losing my identity? Your identity should be, one part of it should be that you are a child of the soil. And that should influence the way you come across with certain things. There are things about Africa that I think have been taken for granted. Our sense of community, the way we are able to rally around people and support them in good and bad times. That's not as prevalent in other parts of the world. So those essential parts of us that we haven't lost, even though the branding around Pan-Africanism is not as vibrant as it used to be. I think back in the day, when I was in school, like in primary school, there used to be Pan-African celebrations. Everyone would wear something from a country. These days, you just wear the clothes and that's it. We used to know the stories. They would let us sing songs. I don't know. In my school, that's what we did. I don't know about you. But so all those things are lost. But I don't think that we should lose the sense of that identity, because we can go wherever we want to, but this is home. This continent is home. So the essence of the good things that we know about this continent, this country, we must harness those in how we show up as individuals, how we work, even how we advocate for policy. If you are fortunate enough to be in a position where you can say, this is what I think the country should be doing for youth. What is informing that direction? It's not just, it's a cute campaign slogan somewhere, but it's something that in the long term will preserve certain things. Things like proverbs, the songs. There are certain things that carry weight that are timeless. So I think we should carry those things along regardless of how modern our lives get.
Regardless of how modern our lives get, let's not forget whence we're coming from and where we're heading. Selassie, would you want to tell us any last words before we engage our community with questions? Or we should take the questions before? Okay, so we're taking questions. Please, if you have any questions, I see a hand up. I think we'll take 5 because the hands are going all up. Can somebody please help us with a microphone on my left? And
Thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Andrews Boache. The question I want to ask is, we all understand the fact that leadership is very important, even at the national level. And we also know that most leaders at the national level practically started as student leaders. So I want to ask you, Mr. Selassie, that as you are a student leader, are you allowed to operate fully to your highest capacity? Or because you are a student, you are limited? Because it mostly happens that because you are a student, most of the views that you present are not really considered. So I want to know from you that are you allowed, as the SRC president, to operate within your full capacity? Thank you.
So we'll take the 5 questions and then they can answer them. So you can note them.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Okay, thank you. So as he said, students' leadership starts or begins from campus. And most of the people that we are seeing at the national level now started on campus. You know, there are sometimes we talk about these corruption stuffs that our national leaders and our political leaders are engaged in. And I believe most of these things start on campus. Just with this campus leadership, you see a lot of monetization of, campaigns and other stuff. Just recently at the University of Ghana, I think the SRC organized some, I think a beauty, Miss Ghana, some Miss UG something. And the prices that they promised the winner, I mean, they didn't deliver that, right? And these people are, building up in all these such behaviors into mainstream politics. It means that the future is at the peril. And finally, I want to also touch on the people themselves, right? Personally, I'm a student leader, and just recently when I won my elections, some of my friends came to me asking me that, Charlie, this morning we go chop together. I mean, the people themselves that you expect to, do something for them are bringing up their concerns that let's chop the money together. So when you are there, you'll be thinking, oh, so then I'm also here to chop money, right? So I don't know how do we redefine, such options that are in our society. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. So he gave us quite a bulky question, so I think we'll answer that and then we'll proceed with the other 3. Selassie, all is for you.
So to answer the first gentleman's question, actually, let me surprise you people. I'm actually the youngest SRC president in Gempa, the first regular student who has been able to become SRC president in Gempa. So it's like, that's what I think. I think before I got to where I got, people were like, okay, he's a small boy. So when he comes, let's treat him like this. But then honestly, I've been able to prove them wrong because, and a lot of things. But to answer your question, no, I'm not allowed to operate fully. If I'm being very honest, I'm not allowed to. Because, as she said, it's not looking good. And I was also, as I said, there's a politicization of a lot of things here. Everyone has an interest here and there. You cannot please everyone's interest. If you do that, then it means that you're not up for the task. So, in the events that you do not please someone's interest, you will not be allowed to operate fully. So, I am not allowed to operate fully because I cannot please everyone's interest. I am for the students, and that is it. And then to the next question. Yeah, it's true. It's true. What he's saying is true because, you're running just an SRC campaign, and then students themselves will chop the money. They will not spare you. I'm telling you the truth. They won't spare you. It's like, you're passing here, oh, I'm hungry. Is it because I said I want to become SRC president? Now I'm taking on these responsibilities. So it's like, okay, in the person's head, take my money. When I come, I'll take your dues. But then that is not how it's supposed to be. That's why I said it depends on, it actually boils down to your purpose. Why did you take that position? Do you get it? Yeah. And I think it's a bad thing. And I think institutions could actually put reforms there to prevent these things. So I mean, if you see that one person is spending this kind of money, you have to call the person and ask him, where are you getting it from? If anything, render an account. And when it comes to, leadership and everything, be accountable on every front. I think the accountability will work. So I, together with my executives, have come up with a newsletter and then also, to, I think, quarterly audit reports so that it's transparent. So that everything is,
Auntie Kenny, I can see you are itching to say something.
No, I'm not a student leader.
No, but you can give us some.
I think I want to answer the second question, the question about what we can do to change it. We have to want to change it. Unfortunately, we don't. We are very comfortable with which is why when someone is campaigning for something, he will pound fufu, he will braid your hair, he will sweep your house, he will organize a car wash, he will sit in the market. Name it, he'll do it. Because he knows that once I get in, I'll show you where power lies. How many of the people who have come to sweep your home and do all the things that they did to win power have done so? Let's not even go too far. It's almost been a year since this new government took over. How many of those people have you seen sweeping, helping, doing all those things that they did to make you feel like they are one of you? Oh, I'm waiting. Oh, maybe there's someone surprising me somewhere. So that's the situation. We have become accustomed to that kind of culture. If you want power, you will beg for it. And once you get power, you can do whatever you want with it. Because once they do win power, accountability goes out of the window. No one asks them any questions. No one says, you said you would do this. Where is this happening? What's happening with this? One of the things that I'm always asking these governments about is, what does 24-hour economy mean? Where is it? How is it happening? It's been 1 year. I don't see the 24-hour economy running. If you find me on Twitter, you find me there. Every day I'm asking, what's happening there? What are we doing? Because it's a very big part of the campaign. So now that you have campaigned and you've won it, how far? Most of us stop asking questions as soon as the power is given, because in our heads, we hope that they will do the right thing. Let's be honest, no one will do the right thing unless there's an internal moral compass, or there are constraints and, should I say, checks and balances. So if I know that every quarter I have to stand in front of the people of Ghana and talk about what we've done with 24-hour economy, don't you think we'd have made some progress? We don't have anything like that. We don't have anything like that. It's the same thing with the National Cathedral. Where is the cathedral? Where is it? So these are the questions. The monitoring, the asking. We don't want to do it. And anyone who wants to do it is seen as, hey, you two are doing too much. It's okay. Let's just all face up front. Try and Japan and go out of the country. It's okay. You'll be okay. We keep forgetting about holding the people who swept, mopped, scrubbed to serve us accountable. So once we keep doing that, nothing will change. So this is my challenge. Don't let only Kenny be tweeting as the president and saying, where is the 24-hour economy? You to tweet some, okay? That's all I have to say.
That's our call to action. Let's keep the social buzzing, asking for accountability. I see a hand up here. I see another hand.
Okay. Hello. Yeah, my name is Hilda, and I was really looking forward to this particular conversation on ethical leadership. I know anytime we talk about ethical leadership, we are quick to point fingers at our political leaders and people in position of power and authority. But there's a saying in Akan that Odon Sabako Chobi, so I also. So what are we doing as individuals? How do we also hold ourselves accountable? We are students here. I recently was collecting data, and one gentleman was like, you're actually coming to take the data. Me, I sat in the room. I sat in my room and then cooked up the data. That's unethical. We are students. A lot of people are putting out research out there that they didn't actually do the work. And yet you are able to point fingers and talk about other people not being accountable or being unethical. We have parents in the home who will tell you, meanwhile, she's in a room, and that's where we learn to lie and all of that growing up. So I feel like we say we don't get the opportunity to get into the room, but once we get into the room, have we built ourselves such that we are disciplined enough, we are ethical enough to be able to change the system that we seek? So my question is, how do we as individuals become ethical before we are able to rant and talk about other people? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll take the second question and then we'll answer them.
Hi, my name is Ofosia Deku Ama. I think I've passed youth, depending on the age you put it at. But I'm really happy with what Bokeni was talking about. I became very active on social media during Red Friday. That was about 10 years ago. And it was big, you know, even if you couldn't go marching, you could write, you know, wear your red. And unfortunately, after Red Friday, when it didn't seem much had happened, some of the mates that we were rallying behind came back to WhatsApp groups to insult us that we were foolish. They had gotten their political appointments, and it really cut deep. Because for me, I remember even being told to shush it, like, what is this? So my question is, how do you keep that fire going? When one, you feel alone, online, it's like echo, you know, you feel like you're the only one. How do you build that resilience? Because there's a lot of fire in this room right now. People are gingered by what you said, the two of you have said. Like, there's hope. There's actually an SRC president who does a quarterly, you know, it gives you some vim to do better. But what do you do when the applause stops, the promises are not fulfilled? It does really feel like a waste of time. You know, children's children need water free of mercury, but it feels like whatever you do, it's almost pointless. How do you keep that fire up? How do you keep going honestly so that we can get the change we want and not the one we are wishfully hoping someone will arise from somewhere and do it for us?
Thank you very much. Selassie.
Wow, Selassie just
pushed
the questions to me. I really like what you said because I completely agree. I think that leaders don't rise out of a vacuum. Most of the time, the only difference is that you have a position and you have a certain kind of power. But it's what you've done in the quiet, outside of the spotlight, that becomes what you become as a leader. So I find that one of the reasons why I say it's not looking good is, like you're saying, we don't have that sense of patriotism anymore, that sense of unity, that sense of well, she says she's no longer youth, so I'm a little closer to her than most of you here. And my thing is, when I was growing up, there was a certain attachment to cleanliness, to respect, to managing resources. It's not like that anymore. The culture itself has broken down quite a bit. And this is why one of the people I'm also always calling out on Twitter is the NCCE. Because it's their job to make sure that we are engaged as, you know, citizens. It's their job to make sure that we are educated on what we are supposed to do, what we are not supposed to do, what is the right thing to do, if you're in a certain situation, how to handle it. We had campaigns on TV. We had, even the entertainment we had on TV would teach you things about, like, doing the right thing, following a certain standard, you know, making Ghana proud. We had role models. You could point them out and say, this person is doing this, to give you hope that there's a pathway that you can follow to become a certain way. Unfortunately, a lot of that has stopped. I don't know how many of you watch regular Ghanaian TV, unless there's a particular program you're watching. Because, let's be honest, if it's not Netflix or something on YouTube, or those of you who download things from Telegram, like, that's it. You just watch whatever it is that's trending outside of Ghana, outside of well, outside of Ghana, because Nigeria and South Africa are doing well to promote their stuff. We're not selling what makes Ghana special enough, which is why a lot of us have just decided that's how we've gotten to there. Each man for himself, God for us all. And we have victimized the people who stand up and say, I will stand for this or I'll stand for that. The first I was saying that you go and fight for something. We are all fighting against Galamsey for Red Friday or whatever it is. And then when the dust settles, it becomes you were used as a pawn to get visibility. So that sense of agency as we can do this. There's so many proverbs about unity, about oneness, about moving forward. The proverbs are there, but the culture today doesn't help that. While it may sound as though we are pointing fingers at the government, the truth is, before a government comes, there's a certain culture from which they rise. And I think if we don't change that culture, it really doesn't matter how many people we call out. It doesn't matter how many times I tweet. It doesn't matter how many times there's a protest. If we don't shift that culture and realize that for Ghana to become a place where we can live comfortably in the next 50 years and have access to opportunities without knowing anyone in power, then we all have to agree that certain things must change. What does it mean to be Ghanaian? I don't know if any of you knows what it means. Because for someone like me, I don't think it means what it meant when I was in class 2. It doesn't. Back then, there was a certain sense of pride when I say I'm Ghanaian. I'm connected to certain people. There are outstanding members of society who are doing this. You can find people who are ethical. When I was driving in today, I was remembering how the first time I heard about GIMPA was when they had a new rector, which was Professor Ade. And back then, it was like, oh, wow. He's doing a lot of things at GIMPA. So it felt like I'm one person who's championing a certain kind of change. That makes you feel like it's possible to do great things from a small place. You're in a small corner. It's not as big as Legon. But you do enough of the change for it to become a standard that people can refer to. Most of the time, we don't have that. When we do these national awards, we award people who are politically adjacent. Then we clap for them. They get the medal. They take the picture and go home. The people who are standards, the people who have been suffering, doing the excellent work, most of the time are quiet in the background. So it's teaching us that don't suffer for this country. There's no one will clap for you. So let's all mind our business. That's how we've gotten to the point where it's each man for himself, God for us all. So if we can start shifting that, and it will start by conversations like this conversation we've had. If someone like me is tweeting, you retweet, you also tweet yours. You talk about it because those little things open up the conversation to realize, this is not okay, and there's something we must do about it. If we don't do that, it doesn't matter. See, you can make me president tomorrow. I'll come and say everyone will wear African prints every day to work, will only watch Ghanaian movies, only drink, no more Coke and Fanta, will only drink Asana and what are the local drinks? Sobolo. I can make you all most national, but if we don't change the culture, it will just be okay, we won the shada, but I'll still get to work at the time I want to get to work. I'll still steal the money in the African prints, and there's nothing you can do about it. But there are countries who have made it unattractive for you to think about anything beyond the nation. Rwanda has done that well. And they have had to go through suffering to be able to do that. Because today, if you go to Rwanda, no one is saying, I'm a Khan, or I'm Fanti, or the equivalent of whatever it is there. For them, everyone is from Rwanda. It doesn't matter what you're coming from. When I think I was about 19 or so, I went for a Model UN conference in Malaysia. They were running a certain campaign, which was called One Malaysia. Because there are different people, different religions, there are a lot of factions. And they were running, the entire nation was running a campaign. So McDonald's is running their version of One Malaysia. Everyone else, like every company is owning it. So even if you are not watching TV and you go and eat at McDonald's, you would see the One Malaysia messaging. You would see the adverts. You would see the posters, the billboards. Imagine if we had a national campaign to let everyone understand what it means to be Ghanaian, to hold leaders accountable, to hold each other accountable. Don't litter. Pick it up. Don't do this. This is not the right thing. We don't do that here. Ghanaians don't do this. It will make such a difference. But to get there, we have to start having these uncomfortable conversations. We have to not just end at the conversations, but start steering it towards action so that the little parts of those actions will culminate in the big change. When it comes to getting tired, I get tired every 2 business days. But especially because, like I said, a lot of the people you are advocating for, hoping to advocate with, will now turn around and say, oh, please, go and sit down somewhere. Like, mind your own business, forget about that. But for me, I see it as, if Ghana eventually does well, it helps me and it helps all of us. So, yes, I'll get tired, but yesterday I remembered why I love Ghana so much. I was in traffic and it was hot, I was hungry, and I saw Coffee Brookman. The fact that I could just roll my window down and buy Coffee Brookman and groundnuts and instantly be filled. It's healthy, it's delicious. I'm sorry, I really like plantain. It's delicious. It's like I can walk away with that experience. I don't know where else in the world I can roll down my glass and find Coffee Brookman. Quality, yes, I know you can do it in an air fryer abroad, but it's not the same, let's be honest. The Ghanaian air and everything is part of what gives it, it's part of what gives it that extra thing. So there's beauty in this country, and I find that if we highlight it enough, people will start to hope again. People will start to realize that we can become better. Because Rwanda that I referenced had to go through loss. We've not gone through any deep anything like that. Ghana has been privileged. So it's possible for us to turn the nation around. We just have to, apart from talking, start pushing forward. So that's what I used to encourage myself. Things like, Ghana is my home. I'll never get Coffee Brookman anywhere else. It has to work. So after you get angry, you drink your Sobolo and rant again. Yeah.
Let's not give up. Let's keep the hope alive. I'll take 2 last questions and then, okay. Please, there's a hand on my right.
Augustine from CFLE Africa. And my question is, if you want someone to mentor you, sometimes he will tell you, okay, come to my house. The person will be sending you to the market, do this, go and buy cassava, change my child's diaper, and doing so many things. So at what point in time should you say, enough is enough, I'm out?
I think this one we have to answer it on the spot. When do we say enough is enough?
Honestly, mentorship is not about me being your errands boy. So the minute I see that you started saying, go here and buy cassava and things, you will not find me anywhere again.
That's enough.
Honestly. Because you're meant to build me up, not teach me how to cook or tell me what the prices are in the market. No.
Okay. There's another hand here.
I do want to say something about this.
Please do.
There's a place for service when you're being mentored by someone. Who's the one who asked the question? Okay. There's a place for service when you're being mentored by someone. And I think that a big part of our generation's entitlement comes from the fact that we don't see service being modeled in our country, in this place. Why am I helping you? If I'm helping you, it's because I want something. That's what's the normal thing. But the truth is, if you are able to serve someone a certain way, you endear yourself to them in a way that the regular person isn't endearing themselves to them. What I would say is, like he said, understand why you are there. Are you there to... Fine, he has asked you to buy cassava. when you finish buying the cassava, can you still speak to value that the person is pouring into you as a mentor? If it is, then I think you need to weigh whether or not the discomfort of buying the cassava is higher than the weight of the knowledge or wisdom you're getting from them. If the weight of the cassava is higher, then please go. But if you are still getting benefits from them, they are still pouring into you, then beyond a certain point, ignore some of the excesses, because everyone has excesses, let's be honest. Everyone has something that makes them, you two are some way. But you have to, don't pour out the baby with the bathwater. There's some benefit that comes from having that kind of access to them. That's why they're asking you to buy them cassava in the first place. If you didn't go to them to ask, can you mentor me? They will not know you from anywhere to say, come and buy cassava for me. So wait, am I getting more imports from whatever it is by relating with you? If I am, then I do my best to milk that import as much as I can, knowing that I can't buy cassava forever. So at a certain point, I'm going to no longer be in this situation. But I think that because we don't really talk about service and learning through the process, it makes it very easy to think, do you know who I am? Do you know which school I went to? I was this, and I've done this, and you're coming to tell me to go and do this. Sometimes it's even, for want of a better word, a test for you to see how you can carry out certain mundane tasks. Because if you can carry out making sure that I've bought the best cassava, I've brought you your change, I was accountable, I gave you feedback, then I know that if I put you in charge of a project, you will apply the same process to the project. So sometimes just take a step back and look at it before you get offended by the cassava errand.
Okay, thank you very much, Kenny. I think our last question.
Yes. Mine is not actually a question, it's a contribution.
Thank you very much.
So one of the participants asked the question, and then in his submission, he mentioned about student leadership possibly beginning from, let's say, at the university level or so. My whole point is that when it comes to ethical leadership, where does it actually begin from? All of us that are seated here, we are students, some are already working, many people are at different spheres of lives. But what I want to say is that leadership begins from our classrooms. In the classroom, when you sat in the classroom the first time, whether KG or class 1, you were all seated in what we call the one logo line. If you went to a Saito school like me, you know what I'm talking about. Now, you sit down, one person is in front of you, and then during exams, you write in that order. After exams, the results are pasted. Is that not the case? Or they come and tell you where you belonged. Competition started from that particular end. We started fighting among ourselves, trying to become the first person. We lost touch with our individual values, and we didn't care as to whether I beat my friend in a very positive way or in a very negative way. I didn't care. Our systems have not been built in such a way that even when we are given tasks as university students, we are sometimes not given the tasks so that we can sit down together as a group and find solutions to them. Imagine if our primary school students, our junior high school students, our senior high school students sat in a circle in the classroom, and for about 16 years of their lives, they learn how to work in groups for about 16 years. What kind of leaders would they become? They would become the kind of leaders who would then learn how to depend on one another. So, my whole point is this. Leadership starts from the classroom. So I really want to encourage the SRC president and then the other students, leaders here. Don't stay at the university and think that that is all from here you move on to the world of work and then you have a very beautiful life. Please go back to the primary schools. Go back to the KG classrooms. Go back to the senior high schools. Go and connect with them. Other countries, what they are actually doing is that they have leadership forums for their students, and it is mandatory for students to actually take up courses. It's part of the whole school life. Our students that are here, are we really experiencing that? Those who become junior high school SP and girls SP, what kind of leadership training do they go through? The senior high schools, what kind of things do they go through? So let us learn how to connect both worlds so that we can share experiences with them. And I believe that by doing that, we will be able to get the kind of ethical leaders that we are all hoping for. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our time is really gone. This conversation, I think we should be having it more often. Outside of here, please continue on your socials, in your various classrooms, during your lecture, your free periods, sorry. And thank you so much, Auntie Kenny. Thank you, Selassie, for the time. This has been an honest and practical conversation. Thank you so much, audience, for engaging us. All of you have been so lovely with your questions and everything. We're very much happy to be here, and I'll leave it to the rest of the team to take it